Once upon a time, there lived a very rich man named Chief Emeka, but people fondly called him Ezego because of his great wealth. He was so rich that it seems as if money never left his house. He was tall, dark and slim, with a cold, serious face. He hardly smiled, and whenever he did, it looked strange on him. Although he was in his late 50s, he looked like a man in his early 40s. Ezego lived in a beautiful and grand mansion in Anambra State. Anyone who passed by would stop to admire the building. People would sigh in amazement at the luxury around the house. Some young men would pray and say, "God, bless me like Ezego, so I can be rich like him." But sometimes, we must be careful about the kind of prayers we make, because not everything that shines is gold. Behind some wealth are dark and dangerous secrets. Ezego lived with his domestic staff, the cook, cleaners, gardeners, and gatekeeper. His wife had died 10 years earlier, and sadly, he had no child to inherit all his riches after his death. Ezego belonged to a very dangerous and secret cult called the Ogaranya Brotherhood. Members of this cult were required to sacrifice their first wives in exchange for great wealth. After the sacrifice, they were never allowed to remarry. Every year, the Brotherhood demanded another sacrifice, the blood of a young lady, usually about 22 years old, to renew their wealth. In return, the cult gave them more riches, power, influence, and even a youthful appearance. The members lived extravagant lives. They partied endlessly, spent money as if they had no value, and showed off their wealth everywhere they went. At parties, clubs, and special events, they spread dollars into the air while shouting their popular slogan, "Money na water." Emeka never cared about anyone or anything else. All he wanted was to spend money and remain the most talked about man in society. He dined with governors, presidents, and powerful men in the country. He was fearless, ruthless, and respected by many. One day, as he was about to step out of his room, he suddenly felt a strange presence. Immediately, he bowed his head in fear when he saw who it was. Standing before him was the leader of the Brotherhood. The figure looked dark and frightening, dressed in a red robe with no visible face.
"Emeka,"
the voice said coldly.
"it is that time of the year again. You must make your sacrifice. Do not fail, or you know the consequences."
As suddenly as it appeared, the leader vanished. Emeka slowly raised his head, sweat pouring down his face. His hands trembled as he picked up his car keys. Without wasting time, he rushed out of the mansion, his heart heavy with worry. That evening, Emeka sat alone on his balcony and made a phone call. He was speaking with his friend, Chinedu, a fellow member of the Brotherhood. His voice sounded tense and worried as he told Chinedu that he needed to go clubbing that night because by dawn he would have to present his sacrifice. After ending the call abruptly, Emeka went into his room to change. He dressed in something comfortable yet very expensive, wore his gold chains, and stepped out of the mansion. Soon he was driving straight to Blessing's Club. When he arrived, he went directly to the VIP section and ordered his usual costly wine. As he sat there, drinking, his eyes caught sight of a very beautiful young woman named Chidinma. She wore a stunning black gown that fitted her perfectly and drew attention to her beauty. Chidinma was a high-class hookup lady who moved only with powerful and wealthy men. Whenever she wanted a big catch, she visited the most expensive clubs in town and sat in the VIP section, patiently waiting for a rich man to notice her. Chief Emeka called the waiter and whispered something into his ear. The waiter nodded and walked straight to Chidinma's table, where he quietly passed the message to her. Chidinma stood up, adjusted her dress, and walked confidently to Chief Emeka's table. Soon, they were talking and laughing like old friends. After some time, they left the club together and drove straight to Chief Emeka's mansion. When they arrived, Emeka went into his bathroom, took a shower, and later lay down with Chidinma. At exactly 4 a.m., Chief Emeka rose quietly and walked into his secret chamber. The sacred room was deep inside the mansion, hidden behind a heavy iron door. The walls were painted black and red, with strange symbols drawn all around them. The air was cold and heavy, filled with the smell of burning incense. In the center of the room stood a stone altar, stained with past sacrifices. Candles flickered in every corner, casting long frightening shadows on the walls. Emeka stood in the middle of the chamber and summoned the Brotherhood. Suddenly, 10 men appeared, all dressed in red robes. Together, they began to chant dark incantations. As they called out, Chidema's spirit was summoned, and instantly a body appeared in the chamber, kneeling before them. The Brotherhood raised their hands and continued chanting. Almost immediately, Chidema began to vomit blood into a large calabash placed in front of her. The men watched in excitement, rejoicing as the calabash slowly filled with blood. When the calabash was full, Chidema fell lifeless to the floor. Chief Emeka lifted the calabash and poured the blood into cups, sharing it among the members of the Brotherhood. One after another, they drank it with satisfaction, sealing the sacrifice. The next morning, Chief Emeka called Pedro, his royal aide. Shortly after, Pedro arrived and quietly carried Chidema's body away. He drove deep into the dark forest and buried it in a shallow grave, just as he had done before. After that, life went on as if nothing had ever happened. Chief Emeka continued to enjoy his wealth and luxury without any guilt. He lived freely, spending money and attending high-profile events. Soon, another year passed and it was time for another sacrifice. This time, Chief Emeka decided to use a different method to find his next victim. He began searching for desperate young women on social media. After some time, his attention fell on a young lady named Bella, an undergraduate student of a prominent university in Nigeria. They chatted for weeks and Emeka slowly gained her trust. Eventually, he invited her into his house. What Chief Emeka did not know was that Bella had informed her close friend Lola about the meeting. She told Lola where she was going and even shared her live location with her. Bella had also mentioned some strange and disturbing things she noticed during her chat with Chief Emeka. As usual, Chief Emeka carried out his dark ritual. Bella's body was buried in the same hidden place, and he believed the matter was finished and forgotten. But he was wrong. Unknown to him, Bella's live location was still active, and she had already shared important details about Chief Emeka and the strange things she saw inside his room with Lola. Details that would soon change everything. Weeks passed and Bella never returned to the hostel. Lola grew deeply worried. She called Bella countless times, but her phone was no longer reachable. Fear slowly took over her heart. In desperation, Lola decided to travel to the city, hoping to find her friend using the live location Bella had shared earlier. When Lola arrived in front of Chief Emeka's mansion, a sudden chill ran through her body. The house felt dark and heavy, as if evil surrounded it. Nervousness crept into her heart, but she gathered courage and walked towards the gate. The gatekeeper stopped her and asked if she had an appointment with Chief. Lola replied that she did not. After a while, the gatekeeper surprisingly directed her inside. As Lola stepped into the mansion, she was amazed by the luxury around her. The house was beautiful, yet it made her uncomfortable. Her eyes moved around the room nervously, as if she was searching for answers hidden within the walls. Suddenly, a deep voice broke the silence. "Hello, young lady. Who are you looking for?" Chief Emeka asked, carefully observing her nervous movement. His face was calm, cold and unreadable. "Good afternoon, sir," Lola replied, her voice shaking slightly. My name is Lola. I am Bella's friend. She told me she was coming here last week, but she has not returned since then." Chief Emeka's expression changed immediately. His face hardened and his eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Who is Bella, if I may ask?" he said coldly. "And how do you know my house?" Lola swallowed hard and replied, her hands trembling. "She's my friend, sir. You were chatting with her for about 2 weeks before she came to see you. She also shared her live location with me, and that is how I found this place." Chief Emeka's face darkened instantly, his jaw tightening and his eyes became lifeless and frightening. "Young lady," he said sharply, "I do not know anyone called Bella, and if you know what is good for you, leave my house immediately before I unleash my dogs on you." Lola tried to explain further, but she met Chief Emeka's deadly stare. Fear gripped her, and she realized there was nothing more she could say. Quietly and defeated, she turned and walked out of the mansion. She hurried into a taxi, her heart pounding with fear and confusion, and returned straight to the hotel room where she had lodged upon arriving in the city, more convinced than ever that something terrible had happened to her friend. As Lola slept, She had a terrible dream. In the dream, she saw Bella and several other young women, all wearing torn clothes. They looked to be around the same age. They were walking on a large farmland under the hot sun, looking weak and tired. Standing in front of them was Chief Ezego, smiling and laughing as he collected money from some strange-looking men. The men did not look human, and their laughter echoed loudly. Bella looked at Lola and tried to speak, but no words came out. Lola woke up immediately, sweating and shaking with fear. Her heart raced. She knew something was terribly wrong, but she could not understand everything yet. The next morning, Lola went to the police station to make a report about Bella's disappearance. But the moment she mentioned Chief Emeka's name, Ezego, the officer's attitude changed. Some became hostile, while others avoided her. Within minutes, she was shouted at and chased out of the station. That was when Lola realized that this battle was bigger than she imagined, and that she could not fight it alone. After several failed attempts to find Bella, Lola felt defeated. With a heavy heart, she decided to return to school. As she was about to check out of the hotel room, a young man approached her. His name was Nnamdi. He was tall, slim, and spoke calmly. He told Lola that he knew about Bella's case and how she was chased out of the police station. He explained that he worked quietly with a special investigation team that handles sensitive cases involving powerful people. Nnamdi offered to help, although Lola hesitated at first, but something about him felt genuine. She sat down with him and explained everything: Bella's chat with Chief Emeka, the live location, the visit to the mansion, the threat, and even the strange dream she had. Nnamdi listened carefully and promised her one thing: we will find the truth. Investigations began quietly. Nnamdi and his team tracked Bella's last known live location and discovered it matched the area around Chief Emeka's mansion. Nnamdi continued to secretly monitor Ezego's movement and daily activities for over 1 year. During this time, important discoveries were made. They also spoke to people in the area: taxi drivers, club staff, former workers, and even villagers near the forest. Slowly, a pattern began to emerge. Several young women had gone missing over the years, and all traces strangely pointed to the same forest. With enough evidence, a special warrant was issued. Security agents stormed Chief Emeka's mansion in the early hours of the morning. A hidden chamber was discovered inside the house, confirming long-standing suspicions. Emeka was arrested on the spot. Further investigation led the team deep into the forest, where shallow graves were discovered. The remains of several young women were carefully exhumed. Among them was Bella. Bella was finally identified and given a proper and dignified burial. Lola stood by her grave in tears, heartbroken but relieved that her friend was no longer forgotten. Chief Emeka did not act alone. Other members of the Ogaraya Brotherhood were tracked, arrested, and brought to justice during the trial. Shocking evidence was revealed, exposing years of dark rituals, sacrifices, and corruption. In the end, Chief Emeka and his Brotherhood members were sentenced to life imprisonment. Their wealth, power, and influence could not save them. Justice finally spoke, and Lola learned a painful but powerful lesson. Darkness may hide for a while, but the truth will always come to light. The moral lessons of the story is that wealth gotten through evil and bloodshed never brings peace. It only leads to destruction and disgrace in the end. Power and influence may silence the truth for a while, but justice will always rise no matter how long it takes. Greed blinds the heart and destroys human conscience, turning people into monsters who forget the value of life. True friendship is proven by courage and sacrifice, just as Lola refused to give up on Bella, even when the world turned against her. Evil strives in silence, but one brave voice is enough to expose even the darkest secrets.